Week, we reported that a Baltimore police officer was charged after video from last year showed him choking a suspect during an arrest. And also this week, an officer with ties to the gun trace task force pleaded guilty in federal court to lying to federal authorities.
When police officers make mistakes, taxpayers pay. And we're getting a clearer picture tonight of the cost of police misconduct.
Jeff Abel begins our team coverage live in Baltimore tonight. Jeff?
You know, we've been adding up the past 5 years of police misconduct cases, and when you find out the real total to taxpayers, it is an astronomical amount. When former police officer Arthur Williams plowed his fist into this East Baltimore man 2 years ago, it cost Williams his job and 9 months in prison, and it cost taxpayers $500,000 to settle a lawsuit. When members of the former gun trace task force planted guns on this man and another one, it cost the officers years in prison, and it cost taxpayers $600,000. It's one of the first of many lawsuits settled against the city involving the actions of its gun trace task force.
There are dozens of cases, and there could be more, especially as people come out of the woodwork, potentially filing grievances, basically seeing that these people are winning large settlements.
In fact, we examined the past 5 years of lawsuits filed against the city's police department and the tens of thousands of dollars the city has paid to settle the suits. In fact, the cost of police misconduct over the past 5 years has cost taxpayers $24.5 million. That's enough money to pay for 100 new police officers, 200 new trash collectors, and an entire summer of jobs for youth in the city's summer job program.
Every one of these is a failure of leadership from the top down to the bottom up.
It's unclear how many more lawsuits are still pending, but dozens of cases filed by alleged victims of the gun trace task force are now working their way through the state and federal courts, all of them demanding a huge price for the cost of misconduct.
Really, for me, it stands as a reminder that we have an obligation to own mistakes that were made, even if we were not in power of things when they'll happen.
Baltimoreans should have hope, because it couldn't get much worse.
Well, many of those pending lawsuits blame the city for failing to supervise those members of the gun trace task force.
2 people arrested in 2 separate attacks on Baltimore police officers in the last 24 hours in what seems to be a growing number of attacks on law enforcement around the nation. Fox 45's Riel Creighton is live at City Police headquarters with more tonight. Riel?
And Maxine, twice in 24 hours as more of those brutal viral videos go public, one law enforcement expert tells us he sees a pattern in people targeting police.
Pictures show the front-end collision with an officer's SUV, North Frederick and East Baltimore Street. Police believe no accident, someone gunning for an officer. Terrion Kindred charged after police say he blasted through a barricade, hitting this police vehicle, then tried to make a run for it. Arrested a short time later. Less than a day earlier, officers defending their own district after they say a man caught throwing rocks at the Northwest Police Precinct. Identified as Darrell Waller, police said he also threw objects at vehicles on the district's parking lot, damaging cars and breaking windows.
Some people, it's not most people, but it's some people, believe that they're fair game, so to speak, to be assaulted.
Former Baltimore Deputy Police Commissioner and Fox 45 crime and justice contributor Jason Johnson says it's no coincidence with viral videos of violent interactions and rising tensions with law enforcement.
I don't think there's any question at all that police officers around the country, in Baltimore and outside of Baltimore, are being targeted with acts of violence.
In the aftermath of George Floyd. This encounter caught on camera in May in Baltimore. A woman socking an officer before another takes her out. Johnson says police under pressure like never before. But in a community that also feels under threat, Johnson says it's on police to show they're treating people fairly, and on people to stop viewing all those who wear the uniform the same.
They see one officer do something they don't like, that somehow is justifiable to attack another officer who has done nothing wrong.
And who's wrong isn't always so obvious.
Now, there was an officer who was sitting in that SUV that was struck behind that barricade. We're told he was taken to the hospital. There is no word tonight on the extent of that officer's injuries.
Glass everywhere, in the street, on the sidewalks, in the grass, in the tree wells, everywhere.
What a mess. Patterson Park neighbors are cleaning up after finding dozens of their car windows shattered this morning. Shelley Orman's live in Southeast Baltimore with a look at all this damage and who may be responsible. Shelley?
Well, Mary, when neighbors first came outside, they thought maybe one or two cars had damage. They've the windows. It just started raining. Doesn't look like it's helping much. They've since counted almost 50 cars on this street.
This was what I saw when I came out this morning.
Anyone living in the city will tell you not to leave anything showing in your car.
Every window had this. This glass is all up and down.
Neighbors in Patterson Park, though, are finding that didn't matter last night.
Nothing was ransacked. Nothing was stolen.
Car after car.
It was every single car on Baltimore Street
Had their windows smashed.
But they also got cars in the alleyway. I think we're up to 50 now.
They've pieced together security camera videos from just before midnight.
Looks like that maybe it was just one person.
You can see a man running through this alley and listen.
It would take a lot of strength and energy to break all of these windows. I mean, 50 car windows, that's a lot for one person to do.
Thankfully, when it comes to cleaning all this up,
everybody's pitching in.
It's not up to just one person. They're getting it done together.
It's on the park side. It's not on anybody's property side. So it's up to us in the community to pull together and get out here and get this glass up.
Well, neighbors worry the man who did this is having a mental crisis. We contacted police about this today. They sent us an email saying everyone whose car was damaged should file an individual report. Investigators also asking if you recognize the man or have any information to call the Southeast District. And we've put that information on our website at foxbaltimore.com.
Dozens of crashes at dangerous intersections in East Baltimore. A crash that last week sent 2 children to the hospital.
That's right. It's an area neighbors say they have complained about for years with no results. That is until Fox 45 pressed for answers. Riel Creighton is live at that intersection with the new safety measure on the way. Riel?
Mary and Kai, speeders be warned because now DOT says they will be watching. You needn't stand here for just but a minute to see what neighbors are so upset about. Meantime, DOT tells us that this intersection had been on their radar after they received crash data that showed 15 crashes here just last year. Well, now neighbors who tell us, though, people speed down this road like they're in a race, say nothing had been done about it until now.
To live anywhere near Kenwood and Monument,
cars flipped over.
Neighbors say
they're blowing home and squeaking brakes.
Near traumatizing.
I hear it all the time.
Constant collisions.
Boom, bang, and it becomes frightening.
It drives like a bat out of hell.
The latest
knocked the whole family over.
This woman says almost killed her family. A car jumped the curb, plowing into pedestrians on the sidewalk. 4 hit, including her 10 and 5-year-old niece and nephew.
Somebody gonna keep on getting hurt until they stop.
Buildings on every corner busted more than once.
This is the bar. This was a sound structure 4 accidents ago.
In just 2 years, Fox 45 found 73 911 calls for accidents here. The list, 1 intersection, over 30 crashes.
It's unusually high.
Fox 45 took those numbers to DOT after neighbors told us they've been complaining to the city for years with no answers. After our story, DOT says the intersection now deemed high priority. The first step to something, they say they will conduct a traffic study and add a speed camera. It is a cross-section in Councilwoman Shannon Sneed's district. We pressed her, she pressed DOT for the study, saying, my office will continue to advocate and work hard on behalf of residents in District 13.
The fact to know that something is happening.
Now, for those residents, finally, some relief.
Well, that's good. I hope it happens sooner than later.
Well, Councilwoman Shannon Sneed told us that she did receive 1 complaint to her office and that she acted quickly to get a stop sign replaced and also to get a no parking sign put up to spare the cars in this area. Meantime, DOT tells us that speed camera will be added here next month. It will go up to 3 to 4 weeks. During that time, they will collect the data on the speeds and then decide the best course of action going forward.